All right, everyone. We start off today with some rather exciting news and has wider geopolitical connotations as well. The Russians were doing an energy survey in the UK's slice of the Antarctic region off the coast, of course, offshore. And they were doing test drilling and saying, there's probably fuel resources here. I have a feeling that Antarctica is underlain by a significant amount of oil and natural gas, and probably uranium and other things that would be useful for the world's energy. Kind of hard to get some of it because, when it's under a mile of solid ice, it might be a little bit non-economically feasible to drill it out and then transport it. The logistics would be difficult. For offshore, it's a little bit different, although then you're still in, constantly sub-zero temperatures with whipping winds and all the other problems attendant the Great White South. But they found that there are oil reservoirs there equivalent to 50 years of North Sea pumping. So we're talking about an absolutely astronomical amount of oil here. The North Sea has quite a bit of it, and we're talking many, many times that amount is freely available. And this is just in one survey. This is one small offshore slice of Antarctica. It happens to be in the British region. The British immediately coming out and condemning the very existence of these surveys, saying to the Russians, you shouldn't be doing this. There's an Antarctic treaty, actually, that prevents the extraction of resources from that continent. I think that we should rework the treaty and we should begin drill baby drilling. And the UK should be happy about this. This could feed the UK's oil needs for an extended period of time, probably 100 years. You should be thanking the Russians for conducting this survey and disclosing their findings. Now, of course, in the end, you might find that it's a little less or a little bit more, but that's roughly what they're saying. If a Western nation with full-on technology, or a group of Western nations, were to tap into that energy resource, it would be efficient, it would be cost-effective, it would feed the economy of the world for an extended period of time, and despite all of the bullshit about EVs, despite all the bullshit about solar cells and windmills and stuff, oil still reigns king. Oil and natural gas are still king in the world for non-centralized usage, so for automobiles and so forth. They're trying to do everything they can to force everyone to buy electric vehicles. No, thank you. I think I'll just keep up an older vehicle and I'll use gasoline. Yeah, they'll probably continue to tax it into the stratosphere to try to force people to use electric vehicles, but in the case of a Carrington event, oil will still work. Gasoline will still work. Diesel fuel will still be there. Your solar cells, maybe not. They might get fried out. The windmills might blow up. Computer systems that are required to administer all of the things in a modern vehicle may not fully work. You could end up effectively destroying the entire industrialized economy of the more advanced nations in the world. I think that the treaty should be reworked. There shouldn't be any military occupation in Antarctica. It's been sliced up into pieces, kind of under, again, international treaty, generally speaking. Various nations have a slice. The U.S. has a slice, and Argentina has a slice, and so forth, because Argentina and Chile are, of course, the closest to Antarctica. But why not extract the fuel? It's not like there's a huge risk involved. Oh my God, oil might get into the water. Well, yeah, I mean, that's happened before. It can be an ecological disaster. It's called cleanup. We do have methodologies by which to do so. In my opinion, the benefits outweigh the risks. Other nations should be surveying offshore as well to see if there's energy available there. What if the United States conducts a couple of surveys down there and finds, hey, we've got like 10 Texases worth of oil down here? Well, then obviously it would be stupid to just leave it in the ground uselessly for absolutely no reason unless you're going to mark the location, set up the infrastructure and say, well, we're not going to pump it now, but in an emergency we can bring it up to speed in a few months. The wartime. There's been a Carrington event sort of thing going on, and so we're capable of doing that. We're capable of using those energy resources much more cleanly and much more efficiently and extracting them much more safely than the inevitable alternative, which is that some other nation or group of nations begins attempting to extract that material, scraps their membership to that treaty, and decides to say, well, you don't have any permanent occupation there. We're not party to your treaty. You can go ahead and attack our oil rig and we'll consider it an act of war, but for right now we've just got a bunch of civvies down there drilling oil, so, good luck. If a nation like Russia were to press the issue and begin extracting those resources, I would think that would be bad for Western hegemony. But then again, under the current administration, they're even trying to cock-block oil and natural gas within the continental United States. You saw what they did to Texas with the gas drilling permits. The federal government decided to tamp them down, probably in reaction to what happened at places along the border in Texas. It was retaliatory in nature. The fact is that we're not going to get rid of fossil fuel in the world, nor is that a problem. The idea that we're going to turn the world into Tatooine by taking resources that are already there and exploiting them is clearly wrong. The idea of centralizing the grid, which is partially fossil fueled anyway, without a switch to nuclear mainly, and then expand that grid to include every consumer's automobile, doesn't make logistic sense in any way, shape, or form. It's also not environmentally friendly. It's NIMBYism at the end of the day. It's total NIMBYism. You have the power plants further away from the population. That's where the pollution comes in. And then at the point of actual usage, with an EV, you're not getting the emissions that you would get. And so you can tell people, oh, look how clean and green it is. Now, the real story is that there's strip mining for the lithium in the batteries, mainly in China, other parts of the world too, North Korea especially, and in rural parts of the United States now. They're trying to open that up. It's like with Biden's tariffs on Chinese lithium and aluminum and steel and things like that. You can't possibly middleman that trade at a very, very slight loss of your profit. We'll be talking about that separately. This is just NIMBYism. Who cares? Is it nobody lives permanently in Antarctica? There's a huge amount of resources. It's an entire goddamn continent that has been virtually unextracted in every way, shape, or form. Going inland and attempting to extract minerals, energy resources, and stuff, that logistically would be difficult. Unless you find a seam of gold that's 5 feet wide, it's not going to be economically feasible to operate in inland Antarctica. But if you're operating offshore or close to shore, certainly you can set up the infrastructure necessary to do various things there and to extract oil, to extract natural gas, to extract mineral resources. Again, if you're talking about EVs, you need a lot of lithium for those batteries. It's probably there in Antarctica. It's probably all over the place. Gold, silver, everything, iron ore, all of these other things that potentially could be economically feasible were we to extract it. Do I believe in fracking in the middle of Antarctica, possibly causing seismic events and other problems? No. But if you're talking about setting up some offshore rigs, I just don't see the problem. What's the issue here? Oil will biodegrade into the background anyway over time. The oil slick may look not pretty and some penguins die or something like that. That's very unfortunate, and obviously steps need to be taken to prevent that from happening. But it's not going to be literally the end of the world. Mankind is not capable of ecologically destabilizing everything in the world. Extinction happens and other problems. There was already pollution before man even arrived on the set. Like there wasn't radioactivity. Like there weren't areas that had high levels of arsenic or lead and leaching into the local ecosphere. These things happen all the time. The world 100 million years from now won't even resemble the world we live in today, even if mankind didn't exist. So what's the problem? We might as well keep the music playing right now because I don't think we're running out of oil or gas or other resources of that kind. In fact, we've probably just barely begun tapping the tip of the iceberg. It's just that some of it's not economically feasible to extract. Look at Texas, for example, a couple of years ago. They found that the oil reservoirs there that they thought had been emptied had effectively refilled themselves. Well, where's the oil coming from? I've got my own theory that involves chemotrophic bacteria and extremophiles within the Earth's crust, differential porosity within the rock, and osmotic processes. That's my own personal belief. Other people think that it's the degradation of certain minerals. Before, they thought that it was liquefied dinosaurs. Of course, that theory has largely fallen out of favor, not without good reason. So yeah, there's plenty of oil down there. This happens to be in the UK's de facto territory. You could feed the UK's economy for 100 years with this oil. What the hell is the problem? What's the matter with you? That's about all. Peace out.